Alright, come on, we talk up the things them now. So check this out. My granny always says, see, whatever is done in the dark, baby, it is going to come to light. You just wait and see. And granny has never been wrong. Anyhow, before we go into our thoughts on this, let's just run through this thing real quick. Straight from the loop, big up to the loop. 7 held. Gun, vehicle, cash, all seized in drug-related operations in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And them show one picture with a bag of soldier man run up in our place. 7 men suspected to be significant players in the illegal drug trade were arrested in a major security operation led by the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Division, which is CTOC, in Montego Bay, St. James on Wednesday. Now, some of the men who have been detained are believed to be connected to the 3 Jamaican police officers who were arrested in the United States last week after being held allegedly smoking, Ross, they might as well have been smoking it, smuggling quantities of cocaine, a release from the police has said. You hear that? Some of the men who have been detained are believed to be connected to the 3 Jamaican police officers who were arrested in the United States last week after being held, allegedly smuggling quantities of cocaine. A release from the police has said. Now, we covered that story earlier. There's more to the story, stay tuned. We covered that story earlier, the one where the 4 police officers were actually detained in the US. One was released and allowed to fly home, and I believe that was the female one, if I'm not sure, if I'm not too mistaken. The rest of them are still in the US. They have been charged and they have been held, okay? Rumors has it that they are looking at 35 years. So they are singing like birds right now. How else could you explain that? 4 of them get picked up last week, and then by this week, 7 get busted just so. And this is not, remember, from the other incident where they were picked up in the US, the 4 were picked up in the US. That information was released to be an ongoing investigation which goes across lines, meaning US entities were working with Jamaican law enforcement entities, US law enforcement entities, DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, and FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, were working with Jamaican intel to get this done. So obviously there's coordination, and obviously somebody attack. You know what I always say, everybody rough and tough, until they get you in one of them rooms and you are surrounded and realize you can't come out, and they're talking about 35 years off of your life. All right. Now, the law enforcement team carried out operations in the community of Ryan Park, Westgate, Granville, Mount Salem, Catherine Mount, and Flanker. Among the men detained are suspected members of a major transnational drug trafficking syndicate. You hear that? This is no small operation, people. A major transnational drug smuggling, drug trafficking syndicate that is believed to be behind the illegal exportation of large quantities of dangerous drugs to the United States and to elsewhere in North America, as well as to Europe. That's huge. That's huge. Now, I did a video before where I spoke about Jamaica being that point. Jamaica is a trafficking point, a point where those harbors are worth billions and hundreds of billions if you know what really moved through there. And I found it interesting. Remember, I'm not accusing nobody. I'm just showing my observation. I found it very interesting that Jamaica's airports are ran by, taken over by Mexican entities. And then now Jamaica's wharf, Kingston Wharf at least, has now become 100% ownership taken over by Chinese entities. Boy, we can talk and say, so the Chinese, them love opium because them smuggle a lot of opium, but I'm willing to bet they are into other things. They are into what makes money, just like everybody else. You see me? Now, with all these entities taking over these major transitional points to the country, how do we know what's going in, what's coming out? How do we know? How are they able to keep track of everything? Now, among the men that are detained are suspected members of a major transnational drug trafficking syndicate. And you must wonder why DEA and FBI are involved and tracking this thing. So in other words, they never just run up on the four police them in. By the way, those police officers, it was released saying that they were supposed to actually be on duty the day of which they were arrested in the US. They never show up to work. So it's like they were reported to be on duty while they were there. What does that say to you? Does that not say to you that someone else of a higher authority knows about this, is involved in this, and is complicit to making this run the way it is running? Allow me to tell. Me just show you what out there now. Among the men detained, so a large cache of electronic devices, cash in both foreign and local currency, with a value excess of 1.2 million Jamaican dollars. That's roughly 10,000 US. At a BMW X6 motor car was also taken, as well as a licensed firearm were seized in the line ongoing investigation. Now, I am hearing that prominent people are involved here. I am hearing that some of these people are business owners who have what seems to be legitimate businesses, but actually the businesses are actually fronts to launder money. Which would be very interesting because recently Jamaica was named to the list of countries that were considered to be money laundering havens. You see that? So all this is just tying up. Now check it. The comments are killing me. Ryan Bryan says, great job by the security forces. Intelligence is on spot. DDT says, well, those held overseas are actually now looking at 30 plus years, so they start to leak. Sieve. Maybe you have the most corrupt cops in Jamaica on the stay there. Remember, I know people, I know me, SouFLo says so, you know, I tell you what the people them are right and put out there. CVG14 says, I hope the Americans want them. Everybody know drug man. Police turn a blind eye and are even recruited by them. Man have a license gun too. Imagine that. Now, Nicola says, how did he license the BMW X6 without questions being asked? If I deposit $100,000 in the bank, I'm interrogated by the teller. So how come? Riggs says some open a legitimate business, like a restaurant and so on and so forth, as a front. Lots of businesses in Mobay that you see open, but nobody no actually goes in there. So in other words, what he's saying is, David Blaine says, unsure why everyone keeps leaving out the fact that the DEA, now this is the part that get me. Why does everyone, he's talking about how come the Gleaner, the Star, all of them, the Loop, TVJ, CVM, why are all of them leaving out? Remember, I know, I'm not telling you that that's what happened. I am sourcing information. And why is everybody leaving out the fact that the DEA, which is the United States of America Drug Enforcement Agency, and the FBI were actually there? And the persons that were arrested were whisked away by U.S. authorities to be questioned. Jamaican security forces only arrest the weed, man. Man to go be a police, arrest no one. Because either them afraid, them busy a collect from scammer and taxi man, extort Chinese people, or them the home a pack them suitcase for carry up drugs go Atlanta, USA. Now, people know why maybe a policeman them hate being reassigned to town, so. Do y'all know anything about that? If you do, leave it in the comment section below, please. London says it's about time. Send them go prison and take away their assets, both cash, house, and car, and everything else. And there you have it. Now, as I've said in the video before, it's pretty ugly. It's like a punch in the face and a black eye left on Jamaica because you know the whole stereotypical thing already. Well, you guys bring in a lot of drugs into our country. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. And you get treated like that every time you travel. And that kind of stuff. So, boy, I don't know here, so, but apparently this one goes pretty deep. We're going to follow this up because there's another article out there that actually mentions which politician son is also involved in this one here. So stay tuned, you know. Because I follow this up before. I don't want to release nobody's name unless I am absolutely sure of what it is I'm doing. And if it's established information that has been proven and put out there, then I can release it. So stay tuned, alright? I'm going to go dig up more and come leave in the comment section. Let's have a talk. You know, some Jamaicans are very naive. They only believe that is the ghetto youth them alone into madness or into bad things. They don't want to put the blame on those who look like they're not that type because he dresses nicely, he drives a BMW X6, you know, him have suit and tie, and then more time if I know suit and tie, he's in the company of high-ranking politicians and these kind of things, or him is a pastor and, you know, the whole church love pastor, so these people can't do no wrong. But the rest of us know, we know how deep this rabbit hole goes, we just don't know. But we know so there's a rabbit hole there. Alright? Talk up, man. I'm out. Peace.